Okay, hello and welcome. Happy New Year. It is now 2013, but of course what we always do in 2013 is we look back on the year previous, which would be 2012, and as I did before, I did the top sports stories of the year. So I'm going to spread out the newspaper here on my table and give you the top domestic and international news stories, and I figured I would just use my iPad and kind of show the paper as opposed to my face while I talk about it. Alright, so here in Japan, this would be domestic news down this side for Japan. Number one, Yamanaka wins the Nobel Prize for IPS research. So the Japanese gentleman in the middle there won the Nobel Prize for these kind of stem cell research he's doing. It was huge news here, and he has been very, very well celebrated and feted here in Japan. Number two, Tokyo Skytree opens. So that is the Tokyo Skytree. And they've had over 32, well, they thought they'd have about 32 million visitors, and they're up to about 44 million in just the first year, and that was not even a full year, which was almost 2 times the number they get at Tokyo Disneyland. And so it's been a very big success for the people that built it, and it's now a huge landmark, and the view is supposed to be spectacular. I definitely want to go. A sports story here in the domestic news. Of course, we did very well at the Olympics for Japan, and that is with this picture here. Uchimura, Nadeshiko Japan there, the women's soccer team. Uchimura, the man upside down, the gymnast who won the gold medal. And Saori Yoshida there, the wrestler at the bottom of the picture. So it does tell you here we won 38 medals, 7 golds, 14 silvers, and 17 bronzes. So we only had 7 gold medals, but that's our biggest haul ever at a Summer Olympics, and it beat our medal total from Athens Games in 2004. And of course, Japan is very Olympics, what would you say, Olympics are on the mind. We really want to host the 2020 Olympics after they're in Brazil in 2016. So everybody's talking about the Olympics all the time. The LDP, the Liberal Democratic Party of Japan, wins the lower house, and so they retook power, and that man there now is, I don't know if it's going to focus any better than that. There we go, a little bit better. Shinzo Abe is the new Prime Minister of Japan. So they took power again. They lost power about 3 years ago, and we've had a few Prime Ministers since then, and now they regained in a huge landslide, so that was very big news. Japan-China tie sour over the Senkakus. The Senkakus are unfortunately just lumps of land out in the sea between China and Japan. It's very silly from my Western point of view, but both nations claim ownership of these islands, which aren't really good for much, except there are some natural gas or some kind of minerals or something there that you can mine. And it really has made it difficult. Even some of trips by students to universities in China and vice versa, Chinese students coming to Japan have had to be canceled as tempers have flared over this issue. This man, Shinzo Abe, is kind of a hawk, and people think he will have a very hardline stance with China, but we shall see. The solar eclipse that happened, that was very visible from most of Japan, was very big news here. That was back in May. Some ceiling panels fell off the roof of a tunnel, and 9 people were killed when they hit the cars that were driving through the tunnel, and that's over here, and it's a very busy tunnel that connects a prefecture that's close to Tokyo with the Tokyo area. So that was big news. That happened back in early December. This one's a little biased, I think. The Daily Yomiuri is the name of this newspaper, and the team that won the baseball game here is the Yomiuri Giants. So they are sponsored by the company that puts out this newspaper. So perhaps that's why that is number 8. But they did win after not having won for a while. But they've always been a very dominant team, so that's not that big a story. This lady here, Naoko Kikuchi, was arrested. She's the last kind of fugitive that's never been found, that was on the run from the Supreme Truth cult that released deadly gas in the Tokyo subways back in 1995. So that was big news here. And last, there was this woman, Miyoko Sumida, who was connected to all these murders. They found a man encased in concrete in a metal drum, and they arrested her, and then she committed suicide while in custody, but they figure that she's also responsible for many other murders, I think up to 7 more. And so it's kind of a mystery, and that is some of the news that dominated the headlines in Japan. So please leave a comment and tell me what were some of the things in your country that were big news. Here I'll just go down their list of the international news stories that they figured were big news. It's a lot of like who got elected and who's in power type stuff, but really briefly, Barack Obama wins his 2nd term in America, of course, big news. I might not pronounce some of these names right. Xi Jinping is the top Chinese party leader now. So that's, of course, America and Japan, America and China, both very big partners. And another country very close to Japan that worries us, I think, more than anything else is North Korea. So Kim Jong-un being named first secretary, basically taking power in that country back in April, was big news. Queen Elizabeth celebrates 60 years on the throne, and of course that all tied into the Olympic Games, so that was big news here. Aung San Suu Kyi, I think I said that right, in Myanmar was elected to their parliament, which is great news. She's a fantastic woman. That was number 5. 6, Putin becomes president again. Of course, we're also very close to Russia. We do exchanges with colleges in Vladivostok and other parts of Russia, so that's big news. Superstorm Sandy kills more than 100 people in America, and that would be down here in number 7. So obviously devastating, and we hope that they are recovering. The Syrian conflict escalates into a civil war. There we go. So Mideast politics are discussed, but you know, Japanese doesn't have that much involvement. Curiosity lands on Mars, big scientific news of the year. Amazing, amazing stuff. Of course, the death of Neil Armstrong would be one for me. That's a personal big news story for me. I'm a big NASA fan. And Spain seeks Eurozone help for financial crisis. Young people hold an anti-government rally in Madrid on June 10th. Recently, of course, the dollar, or the yen, I should say, is getting much weaker, which is good news for just about everybody except people like me who make money in Japan and send it back to America. But it really has changed quite a bit in just the past few days. So there you go, the top 10 domestic and international news stories according to the writers and the editors of the Daily Yomiuri newspaper. I'm assuming that most of these Japan stories barely made a blip on your local news, but except maybe the Nobel Prize guy. So please tell me, in your country, what was a big news story this year? What was personally an important event in 2012 for you? And let's hope that we have a really good 2013. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.